Next story, guy. How a car rental agent saved the NFL franchise. Now, if y'all want more videos like this, hit that like button, hit that sub button. Subscribe. Another sports channel, hit that sub button.
In just 3 years, Brad Holmes has helped turn a once hopeless Detroit Lions organization into perennial playoff contenders.
But without this guy right here, man, Brad Holmes.
When Holmes was hired as GM in 2021, the Lions were coming off years of struggles, lacking both identity and hope. But with strategic moves and a clear vision and an eye for underappreciated talent, Holmes transformed the roster into one of the NFL's most promising teams. But to understand how he was able to turn this franchise around, we're going to have to go back to where it all started. Born in Tampa, Florida, Brad Holmes grew up steeped in football. His dad, Melvin Holmes, was an offensive lineman for the Pittsburgh Steelers, so Brad was around the NFL grind from day one. He saw firsthand what it took, the discipline, the endless hours, and the physical and mental toughness. But none of this meant Brad was handed anything. Just because his dad played in the NFL didn't mean he'd get an easy ride. If he was going to make it, he had to carve his own path. And from the start, he knew that whatever he achieved in football, he'd earn it on his own terms. But those who knew Brad knew how passionate he was about the game. We're talking about the guy who, as a high schooler in Tampa, would dive into the NFL draft in the mid-90s. Back then, most people barely knew what a draft board was. But Brad? He was already tracking players, stats, and draft classes. Wow. His high school friend, Gabe Galdos, remembers how they go deep into football talk that no one else around them really understood. He was quoted saying back then it wasn't talked about like it is now, but he was all over it. He's a straight up football guy. That passion followed Holmes to North Carolina A&T, where he played defensive tackle. And by his sophomore year, he was already winning championships. But then, during Christmas break in 1999, everything changed.
I'm at home visiting my parents down in Tampa and have a near fatal car accident. Just get sidewinded and I'm in ICU for a week, and it was. I mean, I'm very blessed and lucky to pull through that.
Holmes says he doesn't remember much.
And this is another thing why I tell people, when it comes to driving, everybody feels like they're the greatest driver of all time. That's how everybody feels. All right, especially me. I know I'm the greatest driver. All right, I literally, the way I drive, I'm gonna give y'all a sauce real quick. This is how you should drive. You should drive passive aggressive. Okay. Now, the reason why it's passive aggressive is the passiveness comes from you're not trying to cut people off. You're not trying to drive the fastest. You're trying to get to your destination passively. You're trying to just be cool. You're relaxed. It's relaxed driving. But the aggressive part, passive aggressive, the aggressive part is when you need to be aggressive. Sometimes you have to be aggressive to maybe get over. You got to get over to so you can turn right. Or maybe somebody is driving super fast next to you and you have to aggressively get away from them or they going to hit you. You know what I'm saying? If you be passive in them situations, then you're going to be too late and then now you're going to be in a car accident. So it's like picking and choosing when to be passive and when to be aggressive. But 9 times out of 10, it's going to be passive. And another thing too, I live in Detroit. So if you ever drove down here, oh my God. If you've ever drove in Detroit, you know these niggas cannot drive. When I tell you they cannot drive, bro. At all. People don't even care, bro. You driving with people who are smoking weed while driving, going to a bar to drink and smoke, then get back in the car, drive somewhere else to their baby mama house while texting their baby mama saying, yeah, I'm on the way, and they driving fast. And they ain't got no seatbelt, and they don't care. So that's that's the people that's around you. So you have to be passive and to be able to look around you and see like, okay, this nigga tripping, this nigga tripping, this nigga tripping. Like honestly, bro, when I drive, I literally look inside the car and see what they're doing. 9 times out of 10, they're on their phone. It's crazy.
Behind the wheel. But what he does remember is waking up in the hospital, facing the reality that he'd been in a coma, gone through multiple surgeries, and even suffered a stroke that left him partially paralyzed on his right side. What followed was pure grit. Holmes went through intense rehab, speech therapy, physical therapy, you name it, he did it.
I never forget that my college coach, Bill Hayes, visited me in the hospital. And, you know, he sees one of his players in a ICU bed mangled up, and I'm sitting there telling him that I'm going to play again. And he's like, yeah, all right, yeah, right. I mean, like, you're lucky if you were walking. I'm like, no, I'm going to play again.
And incredibly, he did. By the time he returned to the field, Holmes was in the best shape of his life. He literally was the fastest and strongest he had ever been. He even later said he shocked himself with how far he had come. His teammates and coaches couldn't believe it. Holmes was back, earning a starting spot and leading the team as captain through an 8-3 season. Ironically enough, they would constantly tell Holmes that he had the heart of a lion. Now, though Brad Holmes did struggle to break into professional sports, he refused to give up.
When I got done playing, you know, I knew I wanted to get in the NFL, try to get into scouting, and I sent my resume to all the teams like everybody else does, and none of that fell through. So my mom was basically like, dude, you got to come back home. You know, you just got to come home and just figure it out.
So he took a job at Enterprise, a rental car business, while tirelessly pursuing entry-level opportunities. His persistence paid off when he landed a media relations position with the Atlanta Hawks back in 2002.
So finally, an opportunity came about with the Atlanta Hawks for a media relations trainee, and so I talked to my mom about it, and and my mom was like, "Look, at least you'll be back in sports." And I was like, "Yeah, you're right."
Balancing two jobs, Holmes would clock in 40 hours a week for the Hawks, and then head to the Atlanta airport to rent cars late in the night.
Because I could only work 40 hours a week with the Atlanta Hawks. It was a media relations trainee position, but because of my experience with Enterprise allowed me to work part-time at the Atlanta airport.
Oh my.
So one of the greatest perks that the Atlanta Hawks gave me was a free MARTA card.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have the money to.
Yeah, you take the MARTA back and forth. You can do both. Yeah.
When I got off, then that's when I would go down to. I'd get off and I'd take the MARTA down to the Atlanta airport.
Gosh.
And then I go to the Atlanta airport and I would just
Work a full day.
rent cars. So probably about 11 o'clock at night.
Despite the grueling schedule, he was undeterred. Holmes' boss with the Hawks recognized his drive and tried to connect him with NFL executives who would attend NBA All-Star games. This connection led Holmes to a lunch meeting with Dwayne Lewis, an exec with the then St. Louis Rams. Impressed by Holmes, Lewis offered him a PR internship, a foot in the NFL's door, prompting Holmes to literally pack a U-Haul with all his stuff and drive straight to St. Louis for the opportunity. Holmes' early days with the Rams were anything but glamorous. Starting in PR, his role was to support the team from behind the scenes. But he understood that success in any role depended on hard work, dedication, and patience. So, Holmes threw himself into his work, quickly building a reputation as someone who could handle anything thrown his way. Eventually, his talent and ambition caught the attention of the higher-ups in the Rams organization, and he transitioned into a role in scouting. Here, Holmes truly began to shine. His ability to evaluate players, paired with an analytical approach and an eye for talent, set him apart. He wasn't just looking at stats. Holmes looked for character, resilience, and the intangibles that could turn good players into great teammates. This attention to detail helped the Rams draft and develop players who would be instrumental in shaping the team's success, including stars like Aaron Donald, Todd Gurley, Cooper Kupp, and, Jared Goff.
Yes, sir.
His keen eye for talent and consistent contributions were pivotal in building a competitive roster. Holmes' success in the scouting department turned heads around the league, and his reputation as a sharp talent evaluator began to build. The foundation he helped lay would eventually bear fruit in the Rams' 2018 Super Bowl run, a testament to the quality and vision he brought to the organization. And in 2021, after more than a decade with the Rams, Holmes' expertise would eventually be rewarded.
The Detroit Lions have zeroed in on a new general manager. According to the Detroit Free Press, Los Angeles Rams Director of Scouting Brad Holmes will take over as GM. Holmes has reportedly agreed to a 5-year contract following a series of interviews with the team. He was also a finalist for the Atlanta Falcons GM job.
In terms of the purpose and the vision here, it's not complicated. You know, it'll be through a collaborative approach. We will build a winning and inspired culture to serve the best football product to this great city of Detroit so we can compete for championships on a consistent basis.
The Detroit Lions, a team long known for its struggles, were looking for a GM who could revitalize the franchise. Holmes was brought in not only because of his scouting prowess, but because of his unique ability to identify character and drive, qualities essential for a team looking to rebuild. And his first major decision? Yeah, it was a bold one.
I mean, what more can you tell us about this breaking news situation between Detroit and Matt Stafford?
Yeah, so not many people were anticipating Matt Stafford being a Detroit Lion in 2021 and beyond. Listen, you got a new head coach who just got a 6-year deal, a first-time head coach at that. You have a general manager, a first-time GM, a guy who comes from the Rams, and so he knows how to wheel and deal and, kind of make some chicken salad, if you will. You have basically a new regime there, a new owner in Shayla Ford Hamp, taking over for her mother, Martha Firestone Ford. And so as you start to see, there's just going to be a new regime, a fresh coat of paint, if you will, on the Detroit Lions, a team that, as we know, over the decades has struggled to really get over the hump.
With the current franchise quarterback, Matthew Stafford, now wanting to be a part of a rebuild and requesting a trade, Holmes would look to his former team as well as a former quarterback who he previously evaluated and knew very well.
Matthew Stafford is traded from Detroit to Los Angeles. In return, the Detroit Lions got Jared Goff.
What?
A first-round pick.
What?
Another first-round pick.
What?
And a third-round pick.
What?
Holmes continued to make strategic moves. The Lions' roster needed not just talent, but...
Now, let me know in the comments, how did y'all honestly feel when Jared Goff came to the Lions? Did y'all have faith in Jared Goff? Let me know in the comments. Me personally, I would say, yeah. I mean, I would be like, I think I remember saying like Jared Goff, like I remember Jared Goff being sweet in 2018 when he went to the Super Bowl and stuff like that. But I didn't really hear about him no more. You know, I forgot he was even in the league, to be honest. I forgot he was in the league. So, yeah, I was like, yeah, we gonna have to see how this goes. I don't know, bro. And I was like, damn, we lost Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford's still a GOAT, you know. So I was like, this is just crazy. Like, I don't know how to feel. Let me know in the comments how did y'all feel, though.
Individuals who were buying.
That's what I'm saying. I'll be honest, bro. I ain't gonna sit up here and say, oh yeah, I knew Jared Goff gonna be the greatest since he stepped on the field. He just needed a good team like the Lions. Like, I could have said that easily, but I'm gonna be honest, bro. I didn't really have that much faith in him. I didn't know what was gonna happen.
Long-term vision of resilience, teamwork, and individuals who will buy into a long-term vision of resilience, teamwork, and competitiveness. With the focus on the draft, Holmes began adding players who fit this mold, like Penei Sewell, who brought energy and skill to Detroit's offense, as well as Amon-Ra St. Brown, Melifonwu, and other high-impact rookies who could lead by example.
We're fired up, man. Hey, listen, I'm going to turn you over to our owner, all right? Sheila Ford Hamp, all right? So just a minute here. All right, brother.
Wow! That's a very excited draft room.
That's outstanding. That's outstanding.
All right, bro, calm your ass down.
Holmes didn't just focus on high-profile positions either. He looked to build depth across the roster, understanding that a sustainable team must be balanced and adaptable. His careful selection process, prioritizing players with a strong character and work ethic, paid off as the Lions began to develop a team identity that aligned with Detroit's blue-collar spirit. And in 2022, he did it again.
With the second pick, the Detroit Lions select Aiden Hutchinson.
Yes, sir.
Defensive end, Michigan.
However, his choices in 2023, selecting tight end Sam Laporta and running back Jahmyr Gibbs, faced some criticism, as some questioned the value of these early picks.
The question was, are you shocked the Lions selected Jahmyr Gibbs at number 12? 76%.
People, I remember that.
To the yes. Also, as a fan, you're like, oh, we're going to get this guy, this guy, this guy. It feels a little out of left field to think, oh, we had the 6th overall pick. Instead, we got some other picks and a running back. But
I see the potential there. It does seem kind of high, though.
I wouldn't run him in between the tackles.
No.
Frequently.
No.
But despite the scrutiny, Holmes remained committed to his vision. building a roster that reflected his belief in both talent and team culture. And that's right, you guessed it. It looks like he was right.
But without this f***ing guy right here, man, Brad Holmes.
See, with Brad Holmes, the Lions are no longer seen as perennial underdogs. He has transformed the franchise into one on the rise, with a roster full of young talent and a front office dedicated to sustainable success. His story, from humble beginnings to his leadership in Detroit, is a powerful example of how a single individual's resilience and vision can reshape an entire organization.
I love his energy, bro. Having the energy is one of the best things, bro, especially as a coach, as a player. You don't want to be bland, you know what I mean, and all too strict. I like that he's actually, you know, and that's what gives the Lions its flavor, bro, because the Lions have flavor. It's not only are we a good team, but we actually have flavor. We got the best dances, best players, you know, best team in the NFL. Everything about us, bro. You know, and it all starts from your coaching staff, you know, how things are run. It all makes sense, bro.